You built the tiny house dream. Smaller mortgage, less clutter, more freedom. But here's what nobody told you. Your stuff didn't get smaller when you did. The bikes, the tools, the kayak, the seasonal gear, all of it is still there. And now it's competing for every single square foot of a 300 square foot home. Here's the truth that most tiny home channels won't say out loud. A detached garage might be the single smartest investment you can make alongside your tiny house. Not just for storage, but for your property value, your sanity, and your financial future. In today's video, we're walking through 7 honest reasons why every tiny house needs a detached garage, with real 2026 numbers, real costs, and zero hype. Before we dive in, if you're new here, hit subscribe and that notification bell. We drop new housing content every week based on real data, not sales pitches. And stick around to the end. Reason number 7 is the one most tiny home owners completely overlook, and it could make or save you tens of thousands of dollars. Let's start with the obvious one, and give it the serious attention it deserves. The average American household owns more gear than a typical tiny home can realistically store. We're talking bicycles, seasonal clothing, holiday decorations, sporting equipment, tools for home maintenance, and outdoor furniture. When you shrink your living space down to 200 to 400 square feet, that stuff doesn't vanish. It just becomes a daily source of frustration. A detached garage solves this cleanly. It keeps tools, bikes, and outdoor gear out of your living area, protecting the minimalist interior that made tiny living appealing in the first place. Think of it as an extension of the home that holds everything the home shouldn't. Tiny house plans with garages are increasingly designed around this exact idea. Instead of cramming gear into a 40 square foot loft, a 12 by 20 foot detached garage gives you 240 square feet of dedicated storage and function, without adding a single square foot to your main living footprint. Let's talk money. The average new car price in early 2026 has climbed to over $49,000. Making your vehicle likely the second largest investment you own behind your home. And yet, most tiny house dwellers park that asset outside 365 days a year, exposed to hail, UV damage, freezing temperatures, and theft. Hail damage alone averages $2,500 to $5,000 per incident. Sun damage to paint and interiors can cost $1,000 to $3,500 to repair. And comprehensive insurance premiums are higher when your vehicle has no covered parking. A basic single-car detached garage with a prefab kit can run as low as $7,200. Even a professionally built single-car detached garage averages around $14,500 to $40,300 according to December 2025 data from Angie. When you run those numbers against years of outdoor exposure, the garage often pays for itself. If you have an EV, and more tiny homeowners are going electric, covered parking with an outlet isn't optional, it's essential. Charging in the elements, especially in colder climates, significantly degrades battery efficiency over time. This is where it gets interesting, because a detached garage in 2026 is rarely just a place to park your car. According to industry trends data from the house plan company published in February 2026, one of the biggest shifts this year is the rise of multifunctional detached garages. Homeowners are designing these spaces to serve multiple purposes: a dedicated workshop, a home gym, a creative studio, a home office, spaces that require separation from the main house for noise, focus, or functionality. For tiny homeowners specifically, this is a game changer. Living in 300 square feet means every conversation, every hobby, every work all happens in the same space. A detached garage, even a small one, creates a psychological separation. You have a place to go to work, to create, to exercise, without disrupting the person you live with or the quietude of your home. The honest caveat: making a garage truly functional as a workspace costs more than the base structure. Insulation, climate control, proper electrical, and lighting can add $5,000 to $20,000 depending on your climate and use case. But for tiny home dwellers who've already optimized their primary living costs, this kind of targeted investment often makes more sense than it would for a traditional homeowner. Let's talk about what a detached garage actually does to your property value, and be honest about it. According to 2026 data from HomeLight, adding a detached garage to a property delivers an average financial return on investment of 65% to 75%, while significantly increasing sales velocity, meaning your home sells much faster than those without covered storage. That means if you spend $25,000 on a detached garage, you could see $16,250 to $18,750 of that reflected in your home's market value immediately. For tiny homes specifically, a matching detached garage also solves a real buyer concern. Where does everything go? A tiny home without storage solutions can feel like a liability to buyers. One with a well-designed detached garage feels like a complete, thought-through property. The key word here is matching. In 2026, architectural consistency is a major trend in garage design. When a garage visually aligns with the main structure, same siding, same roofline, same window style, enhances overall curb appeal and signals intentional design rather than afterthought. That matters at resale. One honest note, ROI varies significantly by market. In rural areas or markets where tiny homes are less common, the value added may be lower. Always check comparable sales in your specific zip code before making the investment decision. Here's one people rarely discuss: the safety argument. Attached garages in traditional homes are already a known source of carbon monoxide risk. In a tiny home with significantly less cubic footage, that risk is amplified. Running a small engine, storing fuel, using certain fertilizers or chemicals. These activities belong in a detached structure, full stop. Detached garages keep fumes, noise, and hazardous materials completely separate from your living space. This isn't a minor convenience. It's a meaningful quality of life and health protection for people living in very small homes, where air quality matters more, not less. Additionally, for tiny homes on wheels, a detached garage gives you a permanent secure space for your tow vehicle and any seasonal equipment, without creating a structural connection to the home that could complicate its mobility or legal classification. One of the strongest arguments for a detached garage is what it can become over time, and tiny home living requires long-term flexibility thinking. Your needs in year 1 of tiny living are different from your needs in year 5. A detached garage adapts in ways your primary structure often cannot. Today it's storage and a workshop. In 3 years, with proper permits and planning, it could become a legal accessory dwelling unit. This is where it gets financially compelling. In many markets, detached garages are increasingly being converted to ADUs, accessory dwelling units, generating rental income of $800 to $1,400 per month, according to current market data. In higher demand coastal markets, finished ADU rentals can command $2,500 to $4,000 monthly. The path from detached garage to income-generating ADU is well established in 2026, with more cities actively supporting the conversion. Chicago, for example, just passed a permanent ADU ordinance effective April 1st, 2026 that allows garage-to-coach house conversions citywide. California has been expanding ADU rights for years. This is a national trend, moving in one direction. Important caveat: ADU conversions require significant investment, typically $30,000 to $100,000 for a garage conversion, with costs varying widely by location and existing structure condition. You'll need permits, proper insulation, electrical upgrades, and often plumbing. Budget carefully and get multiple contractor quotes before assuming the rental income math works in your market. This is the reason I wanted to save for last, because it's the most honest one. The number one reason tiny home living fails, the number one reason people sell and go back to a traditional house, is not the small space itself. It's the relentless pressure of everything that doesn't fit. When every square foot of your living space is triple tasked, the home stops feeling intentional and starts feeling cramped. The dream of a serene, minimal, peaceful home gets buried under the reality of nowhere to put anything. A detached garage is the release valve. It's what keeps the inside of your tiny home actually tiny, actually clean, actually peaceful, actually the version you imagined when you decided to downsize. Think of it this way: your tiny home is the sanctuary. The detached garage is everything that would otherwise invade it. When those two things have their own space, tiny living becomes what it was always supposed to be. That's not hype. That's practical design truth backed by the experience of thousands of tiny home dwellers who've tried it both ways. Let's put honest numbers on the table before we wrap up. A prefab single-car detached garage kit starts around $7,200, though keep in mind that a site-poured concrete slab foundation will typically add another $2,000 to $4,000 to that base price. A professionally built single-car detached garage runs $14,500 to $40,300 on average based on December 2025 Angie data. A two-car detached garage averages around $30,000. Add $50 per square foot for labor and materials as a baseline. If you want to build one with ADU conversion potential down the road, budget more upfront for proper insulation, higher ceilings, and rough-in plumbing. That prep work is far cheaper at initial build than at a retrofit later. In 2026, with updated administrative fees and local impact shifts, plan for permits to add $1,500 to $2,500 to your budget, depending on your municipality and project scope. Always verify local zoning, setback requirements, maximum square footage, and ADU rules vary significantly by city and county. Bottom line, a basic functional detached garage for a tiny home is absolutely achievable in the $10,000 to $20,000 range. A fully built-out multifunctional garage with workshop, climate control, and ADU potential sits in the $40,000 to $80,000 range. Know your budget and build accordingly. Here's the takeaway. A tiny home without a detached garage is a brilliant idea, missing one essential piece. The garage isn't the opposite of tiny living. It's the thing that makes tiny living actually work. It protects your investment, preserves your living space, future-proofs your property, and can eventually generate income. The honest truth is you don't have to build it at the same time as your home. You can phase it in. Start with a prefab, upgrade later, but plan for it from day one. Because retrofitting the space and permits into a finished lot is harder than building it right to begin with. If this video gave you a different way of thinking about your tiny home build, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people making these decisions. Drop your questions in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you're planning a tiny home build in 2026, check out our video on the top 10 turnkey modular tiny homes under $90,000. Linked right here. That's a great next step. I'll see you in the next one.